Today we're going to talk about supporting characters. My last episode I talked about how to create characters. Supporting characters are the exact same as creating regular characters, but I wanted to give them their own little shout out. Supporting characters bring subplots to your story, and it helps kind of round out your story a little bit more. So I do I'm doing a lot of Asian films lately. So there's a TV show called Pit Babe, and the main characters are Charlie and Babe, but the secondary characters are Alan and Jeff. And a lot of people love Alan and Jeff even more than they love Charlie and Babe. So your secondary characters help further your story. It helps bring a little bit more creativity. So with these subplots, you need to add them to your outline. So as you're creating these secondary characters, you also need to be adding their storylines to your main character storylines. But again, they can't overshadow those main characters. A lot of times I know with Thailand BLs, they'll have a spin-off for that secondary character because people have liked them or they want to add more to their story. It's what I'm doing with Sparks. Sparks is technically a prequel to my Lessons in Life show because I fell in love with my secondary characters. A lot of people will fall in love with those secondary characters. So you need to make sure that they're true to the story, they're helping further along the story, and they're bringing those subplots that help further the story. One thing that's important when you're doing your characters, this was brought up while I was getting my master's, and they said make a character diagram so you can see the connections between the characters. And then if there's a character that doesn't really have a connection, drop that character. You don't need that character in there. You need characters that are connecting to one another, who are furthering the plot and helping the story progress. If they're not helping that story progress, if they're not really doing anything, they're just a random out there character, drop them. They had us make those in our while I was going through school. Personally, I don't like making the character diagrams. I found that with just outlining my character, I'm going to know right then that this character doesn't belong in here because they have no backstory, they have no connection, they're not really part of that story. And if you don't need that character, drop it, because you want to focus on your main characters and your secondary characters, because those are the characters that will help your story. Those are the characters that are going to reach out to your audience, where an audience member is going to say, I understand this character's emotions. I understand what this character is going through because I've gone through it. I understand this character because of this reason or that reason. You want that connection with your audience, and if that character doesn't belong in that story, they won't connect with the audience. They actually may pull the audience away from your story, which will mean that they miss an important plot, or they miss an important thing that you want to show in your story because they're so distracted by this random character. So make sure that the characters that you put in there are meaningful to your story.